Yeah. So now let's talk about scholarships. Why do you care about spreading the word about different scholarships? Is
Yeah.
it because of then, like what you mentioned in the beginning, that you really love to help people? Like, what is the main purpose for that?
Okay. All right. So I'm one person who believes that if
Mm-hmm.
somebody is able to achieve something to a certain degree, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they should not be proud to say, "Oh, I'm the only person in my village who has studied abroad. I'm the only person in my village, who has got, a master's degree from University of Galway." No, like if I'm able to break in something, then other people should be able to reach there, because it's not about me. It's all about us, empowering each other. And the fact that there is still a segment of the population who don't know that you can study abroad and don't have to pay a cent. And I also think that I just feel that also from universities, professors and doctors who have studied abroad, they don't talk about this conversation about how did they get them, and most of them, they were funded. So it's also just bringing that awareness to say, there is an opportunity for you to can study abroad fully funded, you don't have to pay a thing. And also, Kodani, because in South Africa we've got few universities, and for students to get admitted in those universities, just a fraction of students who will pass matric will get admitted in universities. Most of them, they just fell through. But then now, if there is an opportunity that people can also explore outside the country, and apply for this scholarship. So that's where, for me, it comes in and says information is out there. We're not going to gatekeep this information. I've done my part. I got a scholarship. That I don't want other people to struggle the very same way that I've struggled, because I had to do it myself. But to say information is out there, we're gonna give you the information. What you do with it is entirely up to you.
Mm,
Yes,
that
and,
is
and
so true.
yeah, and I can also safely say, ever since I started doing this, there's so many people, so many people who have received scholarships. Now, for the scholarship that I was using, I know of 5 people who are going to Ireland this year from South Africa
No.
on fully funded scholarship. And one lady from Nigeria that I spoke to 2 weeks ago is like, "Oh, thank you so much for your tips and everything." And this is it. That's it for me. Like, people must get, or we must not gatekeep opportunities. No, that's
Mm.
not my money. It's so sharing
Yeah.
information for somebody to go
Mm.
and apply, and they only have to apply and then take it from there. So that's my heartbeat. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about elevating other people, so that people can do better for themselves. I mean, we know that in South Africa there's unemployment rates that are skyrocketing, but I mean, my argument is, if now you're unemployed, you've got an honors degree, and then you're gonna wait looking for a job, you don't want to attempt other things, then what what's the difference? So it's just to say, just shoot your shot. I always tell people on TikTok, I'm like, shoot your shot. You've got nothing to lose. Apply for these things.
No. A lot of people that are coming into this podcast, they're talking a lot about, stop victimizing yourself, saying that there are no jobs in South Africa and you fold your hands and do nothing, whereas you could go and study your masters in other countries because there are quite a lot of scholarships. And, I would also like to find out these scholarships, where do you see them? Like, how do you go and research? Do you go and, like, where do you get this information? Because it's like almost every day you're coming up with like different scholarships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, for South Africans, as an example, there is the Department of Higher Education and Training website that they share scholarships in there, from time to time. So that's one other avenue. However, other things is just going to your search engines, your Google and whatever search engines, and just searching for international fully funded scholarships that can be available. There's also this popular website for masters and PhD. It's Find a Masters or Find a PhD. Then they will just show you the fully funded scholarships that are there. Some of them may be projects from universities that you can just rock into those programs. So the information is there. There are also those popular scholarships that I know now. There's a list I know that every year they are sharing information. So you just continue to share that information. But most importantly, it's just searching. It's just going to search engines and see what's available out there.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about search engines, one would be scared of getting scammed. So, how can one validate, or how do you validate all these scholarships that you're finding? We're not talking about moving from, one province to another. We're talking about moving from one country to another. Way in some countries, you even need like a visa. I actually saw in one of your latest videos where you were talking about, this other country that now needs South Africans to have a visa to go. I
To the
think when they go there, yeah.
Ireland,
How
yeah,
do you really
it's Ireland.
validate?
So because most of these scholarships, they are also tied to governments. So the embassies, to
Mhm,
verify, embassies are also the best route to take. For example, if there is
mhm,
a scholarship about, let's say it's the Ireland Africa Fellows Program, it's in Ireland, it's funded by the Irish Aid. So to double check this, it means that you can even email or contact the Irish embassy to says, is this for
mhm,
real? You know, and also and also with websites, like if whether it's a secure website or it's just some dodgy websites, your HTTP, the S for secure, those type of things. And then, but most importantly, if it's scholarships and somebody's unsure, I always recommend that people should check with embassies.
mhm,
Says like, is this religion, just to avoid issues of human trafficking, people going to
mhm.
these different.
That's why I'm asking, because we
Yeah,
do have that where people are getting trafficked. You're thinking you're applying for a scholarship, and only to have find out that you are selling your soul away.
yeah,
So it's also quite tricky. But I
yeah.
like the advice that you gave, that you should contact the embassy. There was one scholarship that I once posted where South Africans were being offered like a scholarship to work abroad, and a lot of people raised concerns that there were people who were stuck. I'm not sure if it was like during the Russia and Ukraine fight, that they were stuck and the embassy could not help them. How can we make sure that, our embassies support us? Is that like the reality that, you've heard like stories where when support is required, then the embassies are not, able to help? Is that possible?
I'm not sure really around those in terms of you know what would have been maybe the reasons why they couldn't support, maybe if students were stranded, because of that I know, like with the Russian Ukraine war, there were issues around, think of, you remember, like there was an issue about, when people were being moved to Poland and stuff, and then they were prioritizing others and all that. But I'm not sure with scholarship, like how will that affect, because normally, suppose like there is a Chevening scholarship for the UK for a master's, which
Mhm,
is also like the UK government and stuff. So I would want to think that if that organization is offering these programs, and people will be stranded who are supposed to be supported by this scholarship, that somewhere somehow there should be some support put in place.
mhm,
So I think it's a bit hard for me to comment in terms of like what would have happened around those issues and challenges. But with most scholarships that I know, there is support put in place for the candidates that will be in that country. The same as the scholarship that I've used, we constantly had support. We constantly having seminars just to ensure that everybody's well-being, was taken into consideration. So yes, I think that was an unfortunate situation with war happening, and you know
mhm,
because I think then with embassies, I think when they have to, yeah, people have to be transported from one country to back home. I think there's usually some issues. I think there's so many stories. I think people who have been stranded somewhere where the embassies will be like, no, we're not gonna pay for flights, we're gonna do this. So yes, I think it's a gray area if I can just put it that way.
mhm.
Yeah,
Is it
but
more maybe like a contractual issue, or rather just that you were not brought here by the embassy?
It
you were
could be
brought here by the scholarship
by
of
this by
this country.
yeah.
So how do you then become a responsibility to take you back when there are issues? Is it
Mm.
maybe probably
Yeah,
something like that?
I think it could be. Although like there are
Mhm,
scholarships that are tied to the government. Like for example,
mm,
there was a Funda Germany scholarship for bachelor's, master, and PhD that closed a few months ago for South Africans. So because the South African
mm,
government is funding this, I want to think that if anything will happen, because this is their baby, if anything will happen to the students in Germany, I want to believe that the embassy will take responsibility for the students because it's
mm,
them who are
mm,
funding it, it's them who took them there. So I think, like you've said, it could be the issue of, oh, we are funded by this government. It's not a government thing. It means they need to sort it out,
mm, mm,
if in case there is a challenge. But I think normally with scholarships, when now you sign a contract of of undertaking the scholarship, there will be those terms and conditions of
mm, mm,
in these situations, what will happen. So yeah, yeah.
mhm. And let's talk about those terms and conditions. I look at me working abroad, looking at like an contractual agreement. There are few things, or rather, a lot of things that are covered. You know, security, health, and also if I were to die here.